Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Gwen Gervasio, and today we'll be covering Chapter 6, Lesson 6.7 on simple interest. Reference pages to this can be found in your textbook, pages 254 and 255. Okay, as a reminder, don't forget to take down all the notes in today's video for full credit. Okay, let's go ahead and have you copy down our one and only key idea today. So, there's going to be a formula we're going to be using for interest. Now, you might have seen this formula before in 6th grade. So, when we're calculating interest, it's going to be I equals PRT. This is going to be the formula we're going to be using to find interest. Now, what interest is it's either a good thing or a bad thing. Now, if you borrow money, interest would be bad. But if you're saving money, interest would be good. And to solve the amount of interest, we can use the following formula right here. So go ahead and write this down. Make sure you also write down the following words. I'll have you write exactly what I have in blue right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one is going to be the I. What is the I? Well, the I is basically the what? It says the I represents the interest. So we're going to put here interest. So go ahead and copy down what I'm writing down to myself. So I is the interest. Okay. What is the P? The P is going to be the annual interest rate. So in decimal form. So this is going to be, I'm sorry, the P is going to be the principal. So principal, go ahead and put principal. Now the principal, if you don't understand what that means, I have here in parentheses, principal, amount put in. So the amount put in is also called the principal. If you can put that in parentheses. Then the next thing I have is called the R, which is the rate. So R is rate. And for the rate, don't forget, it says here you have to have it in decimal form. So decimals. So go ahead and put it in decimal form. So decimals right here. S-I-M-A-L. Oops. Okay, decimal. And then the T is going to be the time. How long are you saving the money, or how long are you borrowing the money? So T, we'll put right here, is time. So here's the formula, and here's what each of the letters represent. So we're going to go ahead and use this formula in our next few examples to solve for interest. Now, in our video today, you're going to learn that we'll be calculating maybe not just the interest, but we might be calculating for the time. So for example, I might say, hey, you owe this much money, but how long did you take to pay it back? Or you owe this much money, you took this much time to pay it back. What was your rate? So the IPRT could be an unknown in each case. So let's go ahead and get started. Example 1, it says here, you put 500 in a savings account. So it looks like you're saving money. So this looks like a good interest. And it says the account earns 3% simple interest. So you're going to get money for putting money in the bank. So 500, good interest. And you're getting a 3% rate. What is A, the interest earned after 3 years, and B, what is the balance after 3 years? So we're going to do two things. So A, we have to find the interest earned. So to find the interest earned, we're going to use the following formula. I equals P times R times T. So all we need to do is fill in the information that they gave us. Now the 500 represents the principal, the amount you put in. So that's for the P. Don't forget, that's the P. Now the 3% represents the rate. And remember, rate has to be in a decimal. So that's going to be, so 3%. It's going to be 0.03. So I'm going to put 0.03. Now the time, it did say we are going to put it in for how long? 3 years. So I can put here times 3. So if you notice, each one of these has a value. Now what we're looking for then will be the I. So our interest is going to be what we're looking for A. So all we need to do is multiply the following 3 numbers together. You can do these two at a time first, and then add times the 3, or you can do these 2 first. It doesn't matter, as long as you multiply all of them across. So I would probably do 0.03 first, then times 3. That's going to give me 9. But then don't forget, there's also a 0 in the front, so that's going to be, give me 1 second really quick. That's also going to be 0 in the front, so that's going to be 0.09. And then that will be multiplied again by 500. So again, you're multiplying the 3 numbers together. Okay, so once you multiply everything, your final total, if you did it correctly, boys and girls, will be 45. Did you get 45? If you did, double check your multiplying. Now that represents our I, which is the interest. Now that just answers our A, the interest part. But for our B, we want to know what is it after 3 years. So if this interest is for the 3 years that we save, I want to know what's the balance. They didn't clarify this, but in other words, they want to know what is the total balance. They should have put here total, so I'm going to put here total. So you can see total balance. So don't forget, you started off with how much in the beginning? 500. They can't steal that money from you, so 500 is what you started with. And you earn in 3 years 45, so you're going to add 45. So 500 plus 45 is a total of 545 in 3 years. You put 500, out comes an extra $45. So this was a good interest, okay? All right, let's go ahead and have you do another one. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and solve for, looks like, let's see. It says you put in 1,000 in your account. So this is also a good interest. And the account earns 100. So this time we already know how much you earn. So in other words, we already know our I. And it says here, we did this for 4 years, our savings for 4 years. But what we don't know is the rate. So we need to find the rate. So again, we're going to use the same form. I equals P times R times T. So since we already know how much we put in, which is 1,000, we'll put that there. We'll put 1,000. And since we know that 100 is how much we earn for the I interest, we'll put 100 here. And since we know that the years are 4, we'll put 4 year for times. But what we don't know is the R, so we'll put R for our rate. So to do this, we want to solve for R. So to solve for R, we want to go ahead and multiply 1,004, which will give us 4,000. But 4,000 what? 4,000 R. And then this side will have 100. And to solve for R, just like what we've been doing in the last few chapters, we want to isolate it by doing the inverse of times, which is divide. And if you divide both sides by 4,000, we're going to get R by itself here. And so all I need to do is top goes in, bottom goes out. And notice you are going to get a decimal for this, because remember, we're trying to find the rate in percent. So 4,000 doesn't fit for 100, so we're going to drop a decimal, add a 0, and that happens to be 0.4. So my answer is 0.4. What does that mean? My rate will be 40. I'm sorry. My rate will be, sorry, let me go back a step. Actually, it's not 0.4. It's going to be I just calculated it really quick. It's actually 0.0, because 4,000 doesn't go into 1,000. Sorry about that. It's going to be 0.025. So since it doesn't go in, I'm going to add another 0 right here, so it's 10,000, and then that's twice, so that's 8,000. So go ahead and finish this so that you can see it's 0.025. Now the 0.025 is a decimal, so to make it a percent, I'm going to move it 2 to the right, 1, 2, and my answer will be 2.5%. So the bank gave us a 2.5 rate, so that would be your answer for the interest rate. Okay? So really quick, for the first one we were doing the interest, the I, and the second one we were doing was called the rate, R. So now I'd like for you to try in example 1 and example 2, the rate and the interest. If you have, if you need more time, go ahead and stop the video to take time to do this. I'm going to go ahead and move on to example number 3. Now this one, it's talking about a savings account. So let's go ahead and read it. It says a bank offers 3 savings accounts. The simple interest rate is determined by the principal. How long does it take an account with a principal of 800 to earn 100 in interest? So they're saying your rate, here's the rates, depends on how much money you put in. And that's true when you go to the bank. They give you a rate based upon how much money you put in. And in this case, it says you are putting in 800. So since you're putting in 800, it falls between 500 to 5,000. We're going to be using this rate. So we want to know, let's see, how long does it take? How long does it take? So are we trying to figure out the I, the R, the P, the R, or T? The how long means it's the T, the time. So we're going to go ahead and put I equals P times R times t, where I is going to be the interest that you earn. And you actually have it right there, 100. It says you earn 100 interest. The p is how much you put in. Do you know how much you put in to start? We do, so that's 800. Now the rate, it does say the rate right here. It's 2%. Remember, 2%, you have to move it over 2 to the left for a decimal. So that's going to be 0.02. And then the time is what we don't know. So for the time, I'm going to go ahead and put t because I don't know the time. Okay, so to solve for time, all we need to do is multiply 800 times 0.02. And when you multiply that on the side, you'll get, and make sure you do this on the side, 16. So 16, or 8 times 2, okay, is 16, and add 3 zeros and then move the decimals. It's going to be 16t, because 16 times t is 16t. Now, after that, we're going to go ahead and bring down the equals and bring down the 100. And to get t by itself, all we need to do is divide both sides by 16. So what is 100 divided by 16? After you do that, that's going to give you the time you took to invest. So 100, oops, that's a 16, I promise. 100 divided by 16 will give you, let me fix that 16, that will give you a total of 6.25. Because 16 times 6, I'm just going to go ahead and start this for you, is 96, and then you have to finish it, okay? And make sure to get 6.25 on top. So that's going to be 4, and then so forth, bring down the 0. So 6.25 is going to be the time. So what does that mean? It took us 6.25 years to to earn this much money, $100. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do example number 4. For example number 4, it says this time you're borrowing money. So in this case, the interest is actually a bad interest. If you borrowed $600 to buy a violin, you won't be paying back just $600 from the bank, but now you're going to be paying more because you borrowed their money. So there's a penalty. So for this, their rate is going to be 15%, and then it says that you're going to promise to pay it in 5 years. So how much is your loan? How much do you pay for the loan? In other words, what's the total of your loan? Will you just pay $600, or will you pay $600 and more because of interest? Let's see. I equals P times R times T. Do you know how much you borrowed? Yes, I do. You borrowed a total of $600. So we're going to go ahead and put 600 here. And then do you know what's the rate they're charging you? Yes, I do. But because that's a percent, I'm going to make it a decimal by multiplying 0.15. Do you know how long you promised to pay it back for? Yes, we do. That's 5 years right there. So they're going to multiply everything across to get my I. Once I multiply everything across, remember you can only do 2 at a time. So make sure you do 2 and then add the third one down. So 600 times, I'm going to go 600 times 0.15 will give me a total of 90. And then after the 90, I can take that 90 and multiply it by 50. Remember, you can't do 3 at a time, so we're doing 2 at a time. Times that by 15, and after I times it by 15, I'll get a total of 1,350. I'm sorry, 1,350. Oops, and you know what? I'm going to go back. I just realized I wrote this as a 15. T is actually, I'm going to go ahead and point it out to you. T is actually 5 years, so I have the 5 years wrong. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this. This part is okay, the 600 times 0.15, but this is actually going to be 90 times 5. So sorry about that. So 90 times 5 is going to be 450. There we go. So our interest is actually going to be $450. So I'm going to erase this. Interest is $450. What does that mean? That means our extra money, the bad money we have to pay, will be $450. But what is the total loan? Well, I'm going to take that and add it to what I originally borrowed. How much did I originally borrow? $600. Take that, and when I add that together, I'm going to get a total of $1,050. And that $1,050 is going to be the amount that you owe back to the bank, not $600. Because you borrowed their money, you have to pay a penalty. Okay? All right. I'd like for you to go ahead and do problems number 3 and 4. And if you need more time, pause the video and then also complete the exit ticket. Any questions on today's video, please ask me tomorrow in class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.